For the next 24 hours, I'll be only eating and making foods from Disney movies. There's just something so magical and nostalgic about Disney movies and how they tell stories in such an enchanting way that makes you feel like a kid again. I especially love how food plays such a huge role in their storytelling, like when Lady and Tramp share a plate of spaghetti on their adorable first date, or when Belle is welcomed to the castle with a grand dinner, or even when the fairies want Aurora's 16th birthday to be perfect, so they attempt to make her a cake. So today I wanted to finally live out my childhood dream of trying some of my favorite Disney dishes from the Disney universe. It's gonna be a long day, so let's get started with breakfast. This one is especially nostalgic for me because not only was Mulan my favorite Disney princess growing up, but my parents would always make us congee or Chinese porridge for breakfast on the weekends as well. Also, fun fact, I don't know if you noticed, or maybe it's just a coincidence, but a very similar porridge also makes an appearance in Turning Red. So to make the congee, bring a large pot of water to a boil, and I like to toss a few slices of ginger and scallion in mine, and we'll fish those out later because biting into ginger is not appealing to me, but I do love the flavor. Once that's boiling, stir in the washed rice and let it simmer on low for 20-ish minutes. In the meantime, we can prepare the toppings, which are some little bacon smiles I'm baking in the oven and little fried egg eyes over on the stove. At this point, the rice should be fully cooked, but to get that signature thick and creamy congee consistency, we're going to whisk it for a few minutes until most of the rice is broken up and looks like this. And you can serve it as is, but my dad would always make us fish porridge, so in hopes of recreating that nostalgia, I first mixed the fish with cornstarch, water, soy sauce, and oil before gently dropping each slice into the porridge and letting it gently simmer until the fish was just cooked. Then you can serve it up with your toppings, and since they were so similar, I decided to make both the porridges from Mulan and Turning Red. So for Mulan's, it's just fried eggs as eyes and a bacon for the smile. For MEI'S, it's the same fried egg eyes, but we're adding green onion eyebrows and hair, a mushroom nose, and a cute soy sauce smile. These are so cute. I actually think the one from Turning Red is cuter. I kind of demolished it already, but cheers. Not as good as my dad's, but it's still freaking good. It's super warm, cozy, comforting, and it's a very light breakfast and a great start to all of the cooking and foods we have to try today. I didn't realize that we're technically making two dishes from Turning Red today, but honestly, this entire cooking sequence justifies that. Like, just watching this makes my mouth water, and there's so many authentic and delicious looking Chinese dishes through the movie, but what caught my eyes were the BAOS.
Perfect.
Similar to Mei, I grew up spending hours hand wrapping egg rolls and dumplings with my family, so watching hers bond over making BAOS together was so cool to see in a Disney movie. So to make them, I started by mixing together the flour, sugar, yeast, and oil in a mixing bowl. Then slowly incorporate the water until the dough starts to form into a scraggly looking ball, and then get ready for an arm workout because we're kneading this the rest of the way with our hands until it's super smooth. Sorry, that was my cat. Anyways, let that rest to double in size for about an hour, and in the meantime we can make our filling. To the ground meat, add the egg yolk, carrot, and scallion, and season with salt, pepper, 5-spice powder, ginger powder, and a bit of soy sauce and olive oil. Stir that together with your chopsticks until the meat starts to stick together and it almost becomes like a paste. I know meat paste doesn't sound the most appetizing, but I promise it'll be super juicy and tender once we steam it. After a very anticlimactic dough punch, knead the dough for about a minute before dividing it into even pieces and rolling each one into a flat disc. Add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of filling into the middle of each one and gather, crimp, and pinch the edges to seal them into a cute little swirl. Now, I'm sure these aren't up to MEI'S dad's standards, but I'm still confident they'll taste great. And then all you have to do is steam them for around 15 minutes and voila! Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I haven't had a bao in a long time, so I'm so excited to eat these. Cheers! The bread to meat ratio is perfect, and it has such a hearty yet light flavor. To me, this is a perfect food. It's just the perfect combination of flavors and textures. The bao is slightly sweet, super pillowy soft, and the meat inside is slightly salty, very umami and meaty. I just love bao so much. So good. Now, in my opinion, The Emperor's New Groove is one of the most underrated Disney movies. Although it kind of feels like a fever dream, it's super hilarious and clever, and it stars my favorite character, Kronk. I just love him so much. Not only is he the most lovable himbo, but he is also apparently a great chef.
Is something burning?
My spinach puffs!
So in an attempt to bring more attention to this movie, aka please go watch it right now, I'm making Kronk spinach puffs for my little midday pick-me-up snack. Anyways, in the movie, they sort of resemble little handheld spanakopita. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, but they're basically a crispy buttery pastry stuffed with a creamy, cheesy, spinachy filling. They are so good. So let's start with the spinach. Heat a large skillet with a bit of olive oil and saute some shallot and garlic until they soften and just start to brown. Add a bunch of chopped spinach, and once it's all wilted, stir in a ton of dill and season with salt and pepper. To make the actual filling, combine softened cream cheese, the spinachy thing we just made, some feta cheese, grated parmesan, and an egg yolk, folding and whipping everything together until it looks like this. Okay, for the pastry, I'm cheating a little bit and I'm using some store-bought puff pastry dough just to make things a little easier, but we're just going to gently roll it out and cut it into 2 to 3 inch squares. Onto each piece of pastry, add a diagonal line of the filling, brush the 2 edges with beaten egg, and crimp them together to create this sort of shape. And please make sure that the edges are actually sealed because, as you'll see in a little bit, mine exploded in the oven, so they didn't turn out the cutest. But regardless, bake these at 400 for 20 minutes until they're golden brown and crispy. And I'm just warning you, these smell so good while they're baking. I was literally sitting in front of the oven waiting for them to finish. But a snack isn't complete without a fun drink, so I thought it would be only fitting to pair these with the poison they serve Cusco that instead turns him into a llama. In the movie, we see that Kronk accidentally gives him extract of llama, so to replicate the vibrant color of the poison vial, I made a raspberry and dragon fruit simple syrup. So for a cute little mocktail situation, I stirred a bit of the syrup into some sparkling water, and it is so pretty. Cheers. The filling is super creamy, a little tart from the cream cheese, and it has a little funk from the feta. And it's all wrapped in a beautiful pastry, which is crispy and crackly and buttery. I could easily eat like 8 of these. Last bite. That was way too easy to eat, but let's wash it down with poisonous cocktail thing. Cheers. Wait, this is so good. If there was poison in this, I would still chug the whole thing. It tastes so good. Okay, in all fairness, it's just sparkling water, fruit, and sugar, but I think the mixture of the raspberry and the dragon fruit is such a good flavor combination. So anyways, I'm going to finish my snack and I'll see you for dinner. I couldn't make this video without trying probably the most iconic Disney food out there.
Ratatouille?
Ratatouille is a masterpiece. From the charming and romantic cinematography to the beautiful messaging that anyone can cook, to my favorite part, which is not only the cooking sequences, but all of the little details in the kitchen. It's so beautifully done. Okay, before I get carried away, let's do some actual cooking. Apparently, the fancy dish we see in the movie is a variation of the traditional ratatouille called confibialdi. Again, I apologize for my pronunciation, but it's a dish that celebrates the simplicity of summer vegetables. So for the sauce, I'm charring and roasting some red bell pepper and blanching some Roma tomatoes so that we can peel off the skin, which was oddly satisfying. And I chopped those both up into smaller pieces before tossing them in a pan along with some sauteed shallots and garlic and 2 sprigs of thyme. Cover the veggies with vegetable stock and let it simmer until they're soft and tender and most of the liquid has reduced. Then we're just going to blend that until it's super smooth and set it aside to work on slicing all of the other veggies. Now for the rest of the process, I recommend putting on your headphones and listening to the Ratatouille soundtrack, because this took me so much time and focus, but with the music it was honestly very relaxing. Okay, we're going to thinly and carefully slice a green squash, a yellow squash, some Roma tomatoes, and an eggplant into, again, very thin rounds. I personally don't have a mandolin because I am so scared of them. I literally grated a part of my finger off while grating the cheese to make those spinach puffs. So please use one if you have it, but I'm going to do this by hand. And yeah, just take your time and get everything cut up. Then to assemble the dish, spread the sauce onto the bottom of your baking dish, and then it's just alternating and layering the vegetables on top. In the movie, it looks like Remy does green squash, yellow squash, eggplant, then tomatoes, so that's what I did here. And once you have all of your beautiful veggies perfectly layered, drizzle a bit of olive oil and salt on top, cover it with a piece of parchment, and it's ready to go into the oven. I don't know why I said it like that. And of course, this dish wouldn't be complete if we didn't plate it in the iconic way Remy did. So using a ring mold, I gently place a layer of vegetables onto the plate, kind of in a swirl pattern, and hopefully you can't see my hand shaking here, but to finish it off, I placed another layer across the top, made a fancy little design with the sauce around the plate, and garnished it with a little piece of chive. And I was literally so proud of myself here, I couldn't stop staring at the plate, but eventually I felt it was only fitting to enjoy my ratatouille while watching Ratatouille, so that's what I did. And I honestly wasn't expecting it to taste the way it did. With such simple ingredients and seasonings, it tasted so complex and rich. So I finally understand Anton's reaction. I legitimately ate the entire baking dish and just enjoyed the movie until it was time for dessert. I actually haven't seen many people talk about Princess and the Frog, and I only recently watched it maybe about a year ago, but I loved it. I can totally relate to Tiana's passion for cooking, especially cooking for the people you care about. Also, Naveen is not hard on the eyes either. But anyways, Tiana's famous beignets look absolutely incredible in the film, so I thought it would be the perfect dessert to end the day. We're starting by blooming the yeast in some buttermilk and whole milk along with a bit of sugar and letting that sit for 10ish minutes until you start to see all of these little bubbles on the surface. Pour that into a mixing bowl with the flour, baking soda, and salt and knead that for 3 to 4 minutes. The dough should still be a little sticky but also smooth and elastic. Then cover the bowl and let the dough double in size. It should take around an hour or so. Once the dough is ready, flip it onto a super well floured surface and coat the entire thing in flour. Again, be super careful with this dough because it is very sticky, but I promise it'll turn into the lightest, airiest, fluffiest beignets. Roll out the dough until it's about 1/4 inch thick and trim the edges before cutting it into small rectangles. I know none of mine are even or the same shape, but they'll all taste great once they're fried. Speaking of fried, we're going to fry these for about 3 to 4 minutes until they're golden brown on both sides, flipping halfway through. And like Tiana does in the movie, stack these high on a plate, drizzle them with honey, and cover them in a storm of powdered sugar. And after a long day of cooking, I'm super excited to have a little sweet treat to end the day. I'm actually so tired right now, but ta-da! They are beautiful. I don't recommend frying food at midnight, but I am excited to eat these. So they feel so pillowy soft and super light, and of course they're covered in sugar, so I don't think these could be bad, but I really hope they taste like the ones from Disneyland. So cheers. They have that classic hollow, chewy center, and the outside is crispy, sweet, and sugary. I, again, literally don't know what to say, but that also might just be the fact that it is past midnight, but we're having a good time. I'm going to eat a bunch of these and I'll see you in a sec. I don't think my reaction or my review of them quite did them justice because I literally ate 5 of them while sitting here in silence. So take that as you will, but thank you for coming on this adventure with me today. Let me know what we should recreate next, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.